We all want to be rich, right? To wake up without dread in your chest because the rent is due, to walk into a store, pick what you want, and never check the price tag, to book a vacation, first class, not budget, and fly your parents out just because they deserve to see the world too. But here's a question that almost no one asks, until it's too late. What did the rich actually give up to get there? You see the shiny outcomes, the mansions, the Teslas, the investment portfolios that look like phone numbers. You see the before 30 success stories trending on your feed, but you don't see the before that. You don't see the nights they worked alone while their friends were out dancing. You don't see the missed birthdays, the strained marriages, the doubt, the therapy bills. You don't see the version of them that cried in silence, wondering if they were trading too much of themselves for a dream that still hadn't paid off. Because the truth is, wealth has a price, and it's not just financial. It costs time, the kind you can never get back. It costs comfort, because growth only happens in discomfort. It costs relationships, because not everyone will clap for your ambition. And sometimes, it even costs your peace, as the pressure to succeed replaces the joy that used to live in your day. In this episode of WealthQuench, we're pulling back the curtain, not to glamorize the grind, not to sell you struggle, and definitely not to say, don't go for it, but to show you the truth. Because yes, building wealth is one of the most empowering, freeing, and fulfilling things you can do. But no one talks about the emotional tax, the hidden cost that success silently demands along the way. And if you're on that path, or thinking about it, I want you to be ready. So grab a notebook, or better yet, sit with your soul for a second, because by the end of this video, you'll not only know what the rich gave up to become wealthy. 1. The time they'll never get back. Wealth's most painful trade. The first thing the wealthy had to give up? Time. Not the kind you jot down in your planner or squeeze between Zoom calls. I'm talking about the real kind. The kind of time that makes life feel full, but slips away so quietly you don't even know it's gone until it's too late. The kind of time where your toddler climbs into your lap just to hear you read The Very Hungry Caterpillar for the 6th time. The kind where your parents call just to say hi, and you don't press ignore, because deep down you know they won't be around forever. The kind of nights where your friends laugh so hard someone chokes on their drink, and you're there, not mentally clocked out, but fully present. That is the kind of time many rich people had to give up. Instead, they woke up at 4:30 a.m. while the rest of the world was dreaming. They worked through birthdays, skipped anniversaries, and stared at glowing screens while the world outside turned dark. They didn't do it because they loved hustle culture or because they were wired differently. They did it because they were chasing a future no one else could see. A future where they wouldn't have to say no anymore. Where they'd finally reclaim their time, even if it came years later. But here's the hard truth. Some moments don't wait. Your child only has one first day of school. Your partner only asks for support so many times before they stop asking. Your health won't always bounce back. And while they may have gained freedom eventually, many of the wealthy will tell you, quietly, behind closed doors, that they paid for it with moments they can never relive. Time is the most expensive thing you'll ever spend, and no matter how rich you become, there are no refunds. 2. The death of comfort. Why the rich chose the harder path. Let's talk about comfort, not the fuzzy socks and Netflix kind, though they gave that up too. I'm talking about the comfort of knowing exactly what tomorrow holds. The comfort of a fixed salary, of a stable routine, of no one questioning your choices, because you're doing what everyone else is doing. The wealthy, they gave that up. On purpose. They left safe jobs that their parents bragged about at family dinners. They traded predictable paychecks for unpredictable profit. They stopped upgrading phones and started upgrading their minds. While others hit snooze, they were already at their desks, alone, uncertain, but focused. They gave up soft living to build something solid. They chose rice and beans while their peers popped champagne. They moved back in with parents, took public transport, watched people roll their eyes when they said, I'm building something, because they knew comfort is where most dreams go to die. It feels good, it looks safe, but it keeps you exactly where you are. And here's the brutal truth. If you're always comfortable, you're probably never growing. The rich chose to live like most people won't, so they could eventually live like most people can't. They endured the awkwardness of not fitting in, the sting of being underestimated, the sleepless nights, the self-doubt, the endless work, all because they believed that discomfort was just a hallway to something better. So if you're feeling uncomfortable on your path, good, that's the cost. That's the proof you're not stuck. And if you lean in rather than run from it, you might just walk through the same door they did. 3. The loneliness of the climb, what no one talks about on the way up. You've heard the phrase, it's lonely at the top, but what they don't tell you is that it's even lonelier on the way up. When you decide to chase something bigger, the room gets quieter. Friends don't stop being your friends exactly, they just stop calling. Friday nights get replaced with silent screens and Excel sheets. Birthday invites stop showing up in your inbox. Group chats dry up. And suddenly, your ambition feels like a wall between you and the people you love. It's not that you became arrogant. It's that your priorities shifted, and that shift made others uncomfortable. You start saying no more than you say yes. You choose work over parties. You choose goals over gossip. And slowly, without meaning to, you outgrow people you never planned to leave behind. You'll sit in cafes alone, building ideas no one else believes in. You'll hear your name brought up in rooms where the tone has changed. People will say, you've changed, and they're right. But what they don't see are the nights you cried because you missed them. The birthdays you spent alone, not because you wanted to, but because the work needed you more. You'll start to wonder if the dream is worth the distance. And in those moments, you'll learn something. Growth is almost always a solo sport at first. The climb to wealth isn't packed with high fives and encouragement. Most of the time, it's just you, your laptop, your doubts, and your belief in something no one else sees yet. And the irony? When you finally make it, when you have the money, the freedom, the success, that's when everyone wants to come back. But by then, you're different, stronger, quieter, wiser. Because you didn't just earn money. You earned solitude, and you learned how to be whole, even when the room was empty. 4. Delayed everything, the death of instant gratification. In a world of one-click orders and dopamine on demand, the wealthy made a brutal choice. They gave up right now for one day. While most people were chasing instant hits, the new phone, the shiny car, the perfect vacation Instagram shot, they were saying no. No to new Jordans, no to 5-star hotels, no to celebrating small wins like they were finish lines. They chose rice over restaurants. They drove beat-up Toyotas while parked beside Benzes. They lived like they were broke because they had a plan. And if we're being honest, it's not fun. It's humiliating to watch others live the life you want while you grind in silence. It stings to skip the parties, the vacations, the designer labels, not because you can't afford it, but because you know the cost of indulging too soon. That's the thing no one tells you. The rich didn't just delay gratification, they killed it. They reprogrammed their brains to find joy in progress, not purchases. They taught themselves that the pleasure of building something real outlasts the high of buying something fleeting. It's not about being frugal forever. It's about knowing the difference between a treat and a trap. Because every "I deserve this today" could be a "why can't I afford that tomorrow?" So they made sacrifices, not because they liked pain, but because they understood this truth. Every dollar you don't spend now is one step closer to freedom later. And now, they can buy the thing without flinching. But they often don't. Because the rush of control is stronger than the rush of consumption. And that's when you know you've really won. 5. Letting go of the old you. The identity death no one warns you about. This one, it's not flashy. It doesn't make for a great quote on Instagram, but it might be the hardest sacrifice of all. Because to become rich, not just in money, but in power, in freedom, in you have to do something terrifying. You have to outgrow the person you used to be. That means killing old habits, saying goodbye to versions of you that were comfortable, safe, familiar. You stop being the funny one who always says yes. You stop being the broke but generous friend who always covers the Uber. You stop being the "let's go out tonight" version of you, and in their place, You become something different, something people may not recognize anymore. You get serious, focused, strategic. You start tracking every dollar. You stop gossiping and start growing. You spend Friday nights watching tutorials instead of TikToks. And suddenly, you're no longer one of them. You're the weird one, the too intense one, the one who changed. And it hurts because deep down, you miss the old you too. A careless, fun, impulsive version, the one who didn't worry about budgets or business or the big picture, the one who could blend in. But here's the truth no one says out loud. The old you can't come with you. You don't get to take them into the next chapter. Not because they were bad, but because they weren't built for where you're going. You'll grieve the loss of that person. You'll feel like a stranger in your own skin some days. But over time, you'll realize you didn't just lose someone. You became someone. Someone who isn't ruled by fear. Someone who doesn't shrink to fit into small rooms. Someone who can carry the weight of a big life. And when you meet that version of yourself fully, the one who didn't just dream of freedom, but earned it, you won't want to go back. 6. Peace isn't free. The mental toll of wealth. Everyone thinks once you have money, you'll finally have peace. No more bills piling up. No more debt collectors calling. No more deciding between your rent or your dreams. And yes, money solves a lot. But what they don't tell you is that the journey to wealth, and even the destination itself, comes with its own kind of war, a mental one. You'll lie awake at night thinking about risk, not just losing what you've built, but what you might miss if you don't act fast enough. You'll carry stress like a second skin, the kind that doesn't scream but simmers, quietly, constantly. You'll stop telling people you're struggling, because everyone assumes you've made it. But behind the wins, there's pressure. Pressure to keep succeeding, pressure to prove it wasn't luck, pressure to carry people who now depend on you. You're the bank, the plan, the safety net. And some days, you wish you could just go back to being invisible. There's also the anxiety of what now. You climbed the mountain, but no one told you it might be cold and lonely at the top. No one told you how to trust again, especially when people start treating you like a wallet, not a person. And let's talk about guilt. Guilt for having more than your family. Guilt for not being able to fix everyone's life. Guilt for wanting even more when you already have so much. It's a quiet weight, but it's real. You'll crave simplicity, not because you miss being broke, but because you miss being mentally free. And you'll learn that peace, true peace, doesn't come from your bank balance. It comes from boundaries, from clarity, from choosing your soul over speed. The rich don't just invest in stocks and startups. The wise ones learn to invest in their sanity, in therapy, in stillness, in saying no without guilt. Because the cost of wealth isn't just money or time, it's the peace you must protect. Once the world decides your life must always be on, and if you don't fight for it, no amount of riches will ever feel rich. 7. So, is it worth it? The answer might surprise you. After all this, the time lost, the comfort abandoned, the loneliness, the guilt, the mental weight, you might be thinking, was it even worth it? And that's the question that makes millionaires stare out of windows in silence. Because wealth is not what they thought it would be. It didn't magically fix every broken thing. It didn't make them immune to grief, betrayal, fear, or failure. It didn't bring back lost years, or phone calls never returned, or children who grew up while they were chasing something bigger. But here's what it did do. It gave them options. It gave them the power to walk away from toxic jobs, the ability to move loved ones into safer homes, the freedom to wake up and choose what their day looks like. It gave them control in a world that's always trying to take it. And for many of them, that trade, the hard trade, it was worth it. Because they didn't chase money for the sake of greed. They chased it to build something, to protect someone, to break a cycle, to rewrite a legacy. And those things are priceless. But make no mistake, wealth has a receipt, and it always gets paid. In time, in energy, in peace, in identity. So if you're on this path, don't just chase the money, chase the why. Because when the costs come, and they will, it's your why that will keep you grounded. Not the car, not the title, not the applause, just that quiet voice inside saying, "This matters. Keep going." And if that voice is strong enough, not only will it all be worth it, you'll realize the wealth was never really the money. It was the person you became on the way there. If this episode hit home, take a second, breathe, and let it settle. Now ask yourself, what are you willing to trade for the life you want? If you found value in this, hit the like button so more people can find it too. Subscribe for weekly drops on wealth, mindset, and the real price of freedom. And tell me in the comments, what have you already sacrificed on your journey to wealth? This is WealthQuench, where we don't just talk about getting rich. We talk about getting wise. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.